Hey, how far are we? Okay, listen. I think we're close. How far are we away from relegation promotion? Is that ever going to happen?
Never going to happen.
Not in our lifetime.
Never, ever.
I don't think so.
I think it should, but then again, I stand on the other side of some of these issues. I think that our league needs to get to 40 teams, and there needs to be just a first and a second promotion relegation. You can only go up 1 and 2 slots. 40 teams, 20 and 20. You can promote to 1 and you can be relegated to 2. At this point, with everything on Apple and everything on a streaming platform, what's the difference? You can see all the games.
That's what I'm saying.
Why
can't we?
I think players. This is a pretty simple answer. I think players would universally agree, and I would love it. I would love that if the U.S. had promotion relegation. Okay. But it's never going to happen, at least in our lifetimes.
Just because of this ownership structure?
Yes, because of the ownership structure.
See, but that's where I don't agree with that, because if you only drop to the second tier and that's where you can stay, your valuation maybe takes a little bit of a hit, but you're still protected because you own MLS. When these owners buy in, they buy their marketplace, but they own MLS, right? They're all a group and they all own the league. So if you can protect my investment to a degree and say, okay, I'm never going to drop below the 40th spot.
Sure.
Now you get different access to different competitions. Maybe they can cut costs on some things. Maybe they're not going to spend on the DPs that the Galaxy will or that Atlanta will, but they're going to be in the market and they're going to be in the playing field.
I think as long as TV dollars continue to increase, I think that solves a lot of the money issues for the owners. I mean, if you're getting $200 million to stay up in the top tier, I mean, that's going to pay for your rosters and travel and a lot of your expenses.
Listen, I think we all agree we'd love to see it. I would love to see it. I just don't think that it's realistic to ask the owner of this new San Diego team coming in to pay a $500 million expansion fee. And then be like,
is that what it is?
In a few, that's how much it is, I think. Damn. And so in a few years from now, by the way, there's potential for you to get relegated and lose a little bit of a windfall of your investment. I do agree with you, Dan. I mean, if you are going to do it, there would have to be some sort of protections for these owners in terms of everything is split evenly. Doesn't matter if you're in MLS 1 or MLS 2, right? Everyone gets the same piece of the pie. But then guess what? You're still going to have people out there that say that that's not real promotion relegation because
who cares? But it is, because think about all.
But it's not real promotion relegation like you have in other countries.
Where you can go down to
you can't drop all the way down basement. To 6th tier. But what do we do? What do we do as Americans that follows the norm? We don't. We create our own shit. And
we do it our own way.
We take other people's ideas and we just tweak them and make them a little bit better, which is also uniquely American. And I'm good with that.
I would love it. Let's see. I mean, I would love it. It's going to happen when Gordo, when someone's pushing Gordo around in his wheelchair from all his hip and back replacements.
Well, the other piece of this, which I didn't interrupt you guys with, but Copa Libertadores, they're talking about doing the same thing, right? That's South America. That is now bringing potentially the U.S. or hosting it here or bringing it all together, right? It seems like I bring this back up because I feel like there is a collection of, okay, how do we make the most of all of these eyeballs that are on soccer that are all in their own collective communities? And it's not going to happen within the league play. But if we're going to keep doing these things and keep adding on to different competitions, then why not just bring them all together? That's my point. Gordo, I know you don't have a refute to that.
No, I mean, I understand that you're trying to justify your idea, and I'm just going to let you drown in it. I don't want to. I'll let the listeners have their own opinion, man.
No, that's fine. I'll stand on my soapbox.
The Dan Gargan North American Cup.
It could be that.
Newly introduced in 2030.
That's got a nice ring to it. Let's talk about the other cup, the U20s. Dax, are those what those jerseys are behind you?
I couldn't find my U20 World Cup jersey. This is my my full national team jersey. Sorry, a little humble brag there.
That one you got?
This guy, that one cap I got. This guy right here, Bakal, I traded jerseys with him in the Olympics. back in 08. But yeah, I've been watching the U20 World Cup. I'm a big fan of our team. I think that they just beat New Zealand 4-0 in the round of 16. So they're on to the quarters, I believe. This team has me really excited, man. This team has me really excited at the potential that they have, at the potential to, I don't want to, get too far ahead of myself, but they do have, I think, the quality and the talent and the tactical awareness, nuance, whatever you want to call it, to win this tournament. And they have a favorable draw. They're on I think the easier side of the bracket, if you will.
Why is it not getting more coverage, Dax?
Because it's a youth tournament, and I think these youth World Cups, it's always hard for I think people to get behind them. But I, as the soccer loving nerd that I am, I'm just like a huge fan of all these tournaments. I mean, these kids are the future of our national team, and I really believe that. I think there's a lot of kids that traditionally play in these tournaments that actually don't go on to represent their national teams at the highest level with the full team. But I do think there's a lot of kids in this U20 team that are not only going to get caps for the national team, but going to represent our national team for many years to come. So I'm a big fan of it. I told you guys, we covered it briefly on one of our last pods, but the U20 World Cup was one of the best experiences of my life. Going to the Olympics, one of the best experiences of my life. My club team did not have to release me. It was FC Dallas. But I think there was a conversation there, and I think my coaching staff saw how much it meant to me to go to these and to represent my country. And ultimately I was able to go, and I still have these memories. I'll carry these memories with me forever because, like me and Gordo talked about, there's no guarantee that you're going to go to a real World Cup, a full national team World Cup. There's no guarantee that, some of these kids are going to be able to play in a Gold Cup or, a Confederations Cup. And it's just such if you play soccer growing up as a kid, like, what do you think about? Like, I think kids nowadays, they dream about maybe playing for Real Madrid, right? Barcelona, whatever. Now, maybe some of these kids dream about playing for their local MLS team. But ultimately, me as a kid, my dream was I want to represent my national team and play in the World Cup, right? And so if I could do that on a little bit of a smaller scale in the Olympics or in the U20 World Cup, that's a nice feather in my cap and something I'll always remember. But I think these kids, if they can continue to play at the level that they're playing at, I think they have a real chance to win this tournament.
Dax, two-part question. Give me two players that have really impressed you. Who are these stars, and who do you see, doing something in this game?
Yeah, I've been really impressed with Cade Cowell. I think he's probably the leading goal scorer on the team at this point. Huh? He's a freak. He's a freak athlete. He looks like he's about 32 years old.
Yeah, that goal he had far post. He hit him with a little.
He's a really good player. I think
he's kind of like a soccer version of Jordan Morris.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that comparison a lot, actually.
Yeah.
He's fast. He's powerful. He's a good finisher. He's still crazy young. I think he's got a really bright future ahead of him. He's already got caps with the full men's national team. I think he's going to be a big part of that team moving forward. And I really like this kid. He plays fullback, Jonathan Gomez. I think he's got a super interesting story. He was an FC Dallas homegrown, I believe, but I don't think Dallas wanted to sign him to a home. I think they wanted to sign him to a long homegrown contract. I think he wanted a shorter term deal because he wanted to eventually test himself in Europe. So he took like a little bit of an unorthodox pathway. He signed with Louisville, our friend Danny Cruz down there in Louisville. And he got a couple years under his belt playing professionally in Louisville until he turned 18. And then I think he went overseas, and I believe he's playing in Spain somewhere, maybe Real Sociedad. I'm not exactly sure. But anyways, I think that's a super unique and interesting pathway. And it shows you that there's not a one size fits all way for these kids to go pro and for them to get experience. And so he's really impressed me. I think he's a really good player. And I think it's, not so much now because I think Anthony Robinson has been fantastic, but left back has been a little bit of a trouble spot for the U.S. And so if he can continue to develop, I think he's got the potential to be a very, very big contributor on our full men's national team.
Yeah. I wish we would have covered or recorded your story about your U20 World Cup, because it was cool. It's like you still remember being in the quarters and losing to, who'd you guys lose
Austria.
to? In Austria, right? And it's still like you could see it in your face, like you guys, you could have done something special, right? But it was cool. So don't want to like beat a dead horse, but the two kids that were left back, do you think that they would be starting on the squad, and you think that we could they would be useful to us? Can you speak to that?
I don't think the kids from I'm assuming you're talking about the kids from the Fire. the Chicago Fire kids. The goalkeeper, Chris Brady, he wouldn't be starting. The starting goalkeeper is Gaga Slanina, who's playing at Chelsea right now. It's a small club, Gordo. You might have heard of it. He's a very good keeper. I played with him a few times when I was at the Fire. He wasn't signed yet, but he trained with us a few times, and the kid was just a freak athlete. Very good keeper. So Chris Brady, the goalkeeper, wouldn't be starting. So I don't think I don't think his experience would be quite the same as the other kid, Brian. I believe his name's Brian Gutierrez. Very good player. I rate him winger. I rate him very highly. Would he be starting for this team? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not quite sure, honestly. This team has a lot of talent, man. And actually, funny enough, we did play them with Nashville SC. We played the U20s in preseason.
This year?
This preseason. Yeah.
What was the score?
So we got a first-hand look at most of the kids that were there and some of the kids that are on this World Cup team. And the thing that sticks out to me is just there's just so much technical quality amongst this group of kids, man. I mean, their technique is just different. You can tell that they've been playing at a higher level in these academies for years.
Right. Yep.
And that's the difference, right? Because if you can add in some of the physical prowess that American players tend to have, right? Strength, speed, athleticism, whatever. And then you can add along with that the technical prowess and the technique of these countries that start these kids sleeping with a ball when they're 10, 11 years old.
Yep.
I just think there's nowhere for us to go but up. And watching this team play, it's really exciting to see us not just struggle to win these games, but completely dominate every team that we've played against in this tournament so far.
You know what you get when you mix those, Dax?
What do you get, Gordo?
France.
Sure. I love it. I don't think we're quite at that level yet, but again, you start to see it, and this is why watching these tournaments like the U20 World Cup is so exciting for me, is because you get to see what the future looks like, and I think the future is really bright for the U.S.
What was the score of the game?
4-0. They just beat New Zealand 4-0.
Your game in preseason.
He doesn't want to
our
say.
game in preseason.
He doesn't want to say.
Nashville SC 1-2-1. Of course. Come on.
Oh, okay.
330s or 245s or what?
245s. Yep.
Decent.
Big win. Big win.
Big win.
Big confidence booster for the boys in preseason.
All right. I'm going to leave you with this. Just a little fun twist. Because we've talked about a number of clubs over the past couple episodes. And now we're talking about, I think, development of players and what that looks like. Gordo, I'm throwing this to you first. You can pick to promote a club into the top tier, so we'll call Major League Soccer the top tier, and you can pick to relegate a club out of MLS, promotion relegation. Who would you go with? Dax, you're on deck.
We know Gordo complains when I go first because apparently I always take his answer.
Dax would say.
Dax was going to say 5 clubs.
He would say 5 clubs, and he'd give a reason for each one, and then pick his. And then I'd be like, okay, I got nothing. This is probably not smart of me, but I do things that aren't smart. I am relegating the Colorado Rapids, and I live in this market. I mean, I don't agree with anything that they're doing. Their stadium location is awful. I think that this city deserves more. I think it needs to be tucked in closer to the city, right? And so you can get there's a young demographic here that would just they would die to have good soccer here. And then the way that they're run, I mean, Kroenke doesn't support the team, and they've struggled for a long time to put together a good organization. They just don't. They don't do anything well. Gosh, I shouldn't be saying this stuff. I mean, but because they do give me free tickets. I do appreciate those free tickets. They get my family there, but they've struggled for a long time to add any quality. I think they're falling way behind in terms of the rest of the league and these new clubs that are coming in. Are we promoting somebody?
Yeah, if you feel like they've earned it.
Listen, I'm going to promote Charleston Battery. Okay.
Ooh, interesting.
Charleston Battery. I just feel like
he's a history buff.
Yeah, they've been around a long time, since '93. If you've ever played in that stadium, it's really cool. They've had a cool thing going on for a long time. Charleston's a sick city, so it wouldn't be bad to travel there. But that's who I'm doing. the yellow and gold thing, black and yellow, baby.
Black and yellow. Fun fact: they don't play at Blackbaud Stadium anymore. They play at Patriots Point, but that was a fun place to play.
Super fun.
Patriots Point is now the College of Charleston, where that is
best preseason tournament as well. By
easily,
the way.
hands down, the best preseason tournament in the league. There's not a close second. I'll
we can't talk about stories from Charleston in preseason. Not on the pod.
And they're doing very well. They're a good team. All right, so you're relegating the Rapids, promoting the Charleston Battery in their place. Small market, I like it, and a ton of history. Dax, what do you got?
You boys aren't gonna like me too much because I'm relegating your LA Galaxy until they can get their act together.
They're in a timeout.
That's not the way this works, but okay.
I am a firm believer that LA is a disaster right now. I think we all are. And quite honestly, it's sad to see because they're a legacy team. They're a staple of Major League Soccer. They're a household name. But I think everything we see right now with that club is negative. There's news that just came out about Douglas Costa not paying child support or something like that. I mean, who knows what the veracity is. But again, it's like when it rains, it pours. There has not been, we talked about it briefly. There was a video of their game after they just lost at home to Charlotte, which I think you guys could probably agree. Like that should never be happening. I mean, Charlotte's a good team, but you expect the Galaxy to win these games, these cross conference at home. I mean, against an Eastern Conference team that, they were an expansion club last year. And there's all kinds of stuff with the fans talking to Greg Vanney after the game and the players just sitting there taking it. It's just, and everything around this club right now is negative. And, for me, it's sad to see because I feel like the Galaxy have been such a great representative of Major League Soccer for a long time. But it feels like they're living in the past a little bit. And so I do believe that Greg Vanney is going to get them out of this. I think that they're going to give him time. I don't know about the Chris Klein situation. Honestly, we've talked about that a little bit. I mean, who knows if he's going to be around or not, but I think Vanney is going to be given time to turn it around. I think their midfield is good enough to turn it around, but if I have to relegate a club right now, it's them.
When do you play the Galaxy?
We don't play them this year, so that's probably
you
why
don't
I
play
put them
the
as
stands.
well.
Yeah. Did you see the crowd in that game?
Bad, right?
No,
Bare.
I didn't see it. I
saw
the video for after the game, and there was nobody there.
Yeah, and so that's for me the
so you're
logical
putting them in a
choice.
timeout. You're putting them. They're
the Galaxy. They're going to get promoted right back up. They're going down in the They're going down to USL for a year. They're going to sign Cristiano Ronaldo. He's going to play in USL, and then he's going to bring him back to the glory days.
That's not what we need, dude.
I don't know enough of history of the Prem, but have any of the big major clubs ever been relegated?
Well, yeah,
I don't think any of the top. I don't think any of the top
Man
4
City,
or 5.
Man U, Chelsea,
did.
Arsenal, Liverpool.
I don't think so.
Juventus,
but could be wrong. Leicester City.
Juventus
Leicester City's
went down
the
too.
most.
Is anybody listening?
Leicester
to me?
City just got relegated.
When did Juventus go down?
Remember they got in the gambling.
Yeah, but that was not on sporting merit. That was a punishment for cheating, I think, or betting scandal.
Be more
I
specific
forgot what it was.
with your question. Then.
Yeah.
Can I pick my team to get promoted?
Yes.
Yeah. Let's hear the promotion.
I know you guys are all hot and bothered about me picking your squad to get relegated, but I'm promoting Louisville.
I don't think you're wrong.
I'm promoting Louisville. I love everything that this club is doing. Danny Cruz, former MLS player, he was like their sporting director at first, and then he became their head coach. And they've done nothing but basically win since he's been introduced as a head coach. They have a very set, defined style of play. They have an awesome soccer-specific stadium that we played at last year in the Open Cup. And they gave us a hell of a game. We were fortunate to get out of there with a win. But I love the location. I feel like it's one of these cities that is just chomping at the bit for soccer. And I think they have a women's team as well, Racing Louisville. Yep. I just think from afar, looking at that club from afar, they just look like they do everything right. And a club like that, I think, would be awesome in MLS. So I'm picking them to get promoted. Bam.
Another Midwest team.
It works. I mean, there's
nothing else to do there.
There's definitely a little room for purple. Number one, and number two, their style from a club standpoint. I think we talk a lot about who's successful, and it's from probably the identity is the starting point, right? They have a clear identity. Sure. They know who they are. They want to play a certain way. Hackworth got them, I think, in in a really good spot before he handed the reins over to Danny Cruz. Danny Cruz picked that up and done really well too. So I like that promotion.
Well, thank you, but I appreciate that. I of course destroyed Gordo in that, but I want to know yours, Dan. Come on, give us your quick hitter promotion relegation teams. You're not getting out of this.
No, this is easy. This is easy for me. Red Bull New York's going down.
You loser,
dude. So easy. So easy.
I love that.
That's such a spiteful answer. I can't believe you just did that.
No,
just because of where they built their stadium.
Why. Dax, you were the last thing that was relevant at Red Bull New York, and that was only because you stuck out between Rafa Marquez and Thierry Henry. And I would say that
they won the Supporter Shield in 2018. Come on.
Yeah, they're just boring. Everything about them is boring. They're just a bland club, and that's something that like maybe it could change. They're building incredible. Their venue phenomenal. Their fans, the ones that show up, are passionate, but they still have yet to really fill a building. Number one, which at this point in the league it's just kind of like meh. All right, you're next.
It pains me to say that. While I disagree with you, you're making some very valid arguments, I have to say.
That stadium location, that's another one. Just like I think it's bad placement.
Bad placement.
It's 8 miles outside New York City.
That's a long way. That's like 2-hour drive.
There's no space.
There's no space.
I don't know. I didn't go through the planning the zoning process with the Red Bull brass, but I think that they probably could have found something different. And if not, they could have done more to get fans into the building. I mean, you have Thierry Henry, you have Rafa Marquez, you have Dax McCarty, you have some reasons to be excied. You have Jesse Marsh, you have Supporter Shield winners, and they still cannot capture anybody.
All I will say, Dan, is that in the middle years before Thierry retired, let's call it 2013 to maybe like 2016 before I left, there was a serious buzz around our team because we were good. We were fun to watch. We were winning multiple games. We were not selling the stadium out, but we were averaging 18 to 28,000 fans a game because we were fun to watch and we were good. I think now the last couple of years, if I can just speak to, I think, what it looks like from the outside, because I don't have any inside information. They've just dove so far into the Red Bull ethos, the Red Bull press at all costs, even at the mercy of not signing any big stars or players that might change the game. And I think it's gotten a little bit stale, and I think it's definitely kind of worn thin with that fan base there. And so you're not wrong.
So they were onto something with Tyler Adams and. Who was the other midfielder that was really good?
Probably my boy Sean Davis.
Shawnee Davis, yeah. And I think New York, I mean, give me a break. You can't tell me you can't develop young talent in New York and in the surrounding tri-state area of Pennsylvania. Look at what Philly's doing. Philly, I think, just took what Red Bull was trying to do and did it better, and now all of a sudden is way more relevant and way more interesting, and that's kind of where I'm at. So they're out. Promotion, I would love to see, I think Pittsburgh take a step up. Pittsburgh's a unique city. Ooh. I think it's done a lot to upgrade itself, so to speak, maybe clean up its act a little bit. It was I don't know, reminds me a lot of like Cincinnati, St. Louis, these like Midwestern Rust Belt towns that have a lot of character, that have maybe taken a little bit longer to take a few steps forward. And now, the Riverhounds, they're a trusted brand. They've been around for a long time. Bob Lilly's been a coach for forever there, which probably neither one of those things would stay in place if they do get promoted. But they're an easy another place to put another club to get us to 40, to then get to the promotion relegation of First Division, Second Division. I'm telling you.
Done.
Dude.
I think Dan Gargan's North American Open Cup is more realistic than promotion relegation at this point.
All right, parting words. Dax, in one word, I want you to tell me what the U.S. men's national team is doing with an assistant to the assistant regional manager in the interim, supporting an interim. What is one word? What comes to mind?
Oh, God.
Oh, God. No spaces in between there.
Disaster? I mean, come on, man. It is. I just don't see. I understand being patient and wanting to find the right coach, but I think you're losing valuable
Where's Hudson
invaluable.
going? Is Hudson getting a job in MLS?
I heard some stuff. No, he's not getting a job in MLS. He's getting a job overseas, I think.
Okay, so he's got to go. So, I mean, U.S. men's national team is reacting. Gordo, are you okay with this? You feel okay with this? I mean, they're clearly hiring Jesse Marsch. Right.
But they have to. They
would have done it by now. Why would Jesse not want to take over right away?
Because they have to. They have to pretend like they have a process. Everybody has to have a process and get. I'm not agreeing with it. I'm telling you what they're doing, and they're making. They have to have a certain amount of candidates. They probably have to have.
Okay. Well, the new sporting director's been there for a month now. Okay, so. Get candidates in and out. I'm just saying, if they were going to hire Jesse, why not do it before all these summer tournaments?
The process,
Let's get meaningful games.
I'll tell you why. Because if he doesn't do well at either of these tournaments, it sets the wrong tone. And if he's in a lose-lose situation. Yeah, he does. He has to care. And I'll tell you who really needs to care is the U.S. men's national team.
You got a 3.5-year contract through the World Cup. Who cares?
Right. But if the entire mediascape goes and says, oh, this was your guy, and now all of the narrative around it is this guy's got no clue or he's not fit for the job or whatever, from a starting point, not great.
Yeah. I'd be shocked if I'm still going to be shocked if they hire Jesse. I got to be honest.
Yeah, I'm selling it as well. I think it's unnecessary. That's the word that I have. It's so unnecessary to do this, and it just brings bad press to you. You don't. I mean, just do nothing is better than doing this.
Here's the only reason, not the only reason, one of the furthering reasons of why I think that Marsch is going to be the head coach. Hudson doesn't walk away from this job if he thinks that he has a realistic shot at being the next manager. And if they haven't told him, hey, dude, you have no shot here, there's no reason for him to step down right now.
Right.
Everybody knows he's not getting the job, dude.
Yeah.
After that last interview that he did during halftime. Remember that? He's like, well,
Gordo's going to give him some media training.
He's like, yeah, we got to do something. So what did he say?
All right, boys and girls, that's what we got for you today. Appreciate you listening. And until next time, Major League Journeymen are out.